Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be on how to honor the psychiatry rotation during your third year of medical school. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Austin Wynn. I'm a third year medical student at the University of Illinois College of Medicine. Welcome to my channel. Today we'll be continuing our series on M3 core clerkships and how to honor them or get that outstanding grade. Today we'll be talking about the psychiatry rotation, traditionally a 6-week rotation. That's how it was done at my school. If you're interested on looking at other rotation videos I've already done, I have videos for internal medicine, neurology, surgery already posted on my channel. Don't forget to check that out. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more videos related to the field of medicine, clerkships, how to study and be effective in medical school and beyond. Don't forget to do it. Let's get into it. So today we're going to be discussing the psychiatry rotation. Traditionally, this rotation, sometimes referred to as psycation, tends to be the most easy rotation compared to the other 6 core rotations. So the reason being, I think mostly, is because the time intensity tends to be the least in psychiatry. There's minimal U-word questions and minimal Anki flashcards and outside resources that you'll need to study. And also the material tends to be less dense, more memorizing of, key criteria, key things to make diagnoses, and just kind of memorizing certain, facts to how to diagnose certain diseases. Not to say that psychiatry is easy, because trust me, it's a very complex field. The patients are difficult sometimes to understand and how to work up differentials, so it's definitely not easy. But I think in terms of the content to study, it tends to be very straightforward because the DSM-5 has clear criteria on which symptoms match with which disease, which tends to be a little bit easier. In addition, in psychiatry, the time spent in the clinic is usually less than in other more intense rotations like internal medicine and surgery. So for example, on surgery, you get there at 5 a.m. On psychiatry, for me, I got there at 8 a.m. or sometimes 8:30. You round it around 9 a.m. in psychiatry, and you finish your notes and all your rounds and work and everything around 1 to 2 p.m. and usually can leave after that. So that's a lot less time intensive than other rotations, and there's even less to do in terms of studying. So you tend to have a lot more free time in psych, so it's a good opportunity if you're a studious student to study ahead or get ready for step 2. I wish I did those things. I kind of just took the time to relax, which is also really great. So find that balance for you. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about 3 tips I have to do well and honor your psych rotation. Today we're going to start first with the shelf exam, just because I'm already talking about content and U-word questions and such. So for me, all I did was U-word questions for psychiatry. I tried to divide them out throughout my rotation like I do with all of my rotations and see how many I should do Monday through Friday, since I like to take my weekends off. So I recommend that you take the number of questions in the bank you're using, whether that's UWorld or AMBOSS, divide it out and try to get those done. And towards the end of your rotation, you can do NBME practice problems. At the end of the day, all the shelf exams are questions-based exams, so doing practice questions is one of the best ways to learn. In addition to that, you can supplement this with using Anki, spaced repetition, to retain all the knowledge in psych. And I think Anki is vital in this rotation because so much of the material is memorizing the DSM criteria. Is it enough to diagnose this? Does it have to be greater than 1 month of symptoms or 6 months of symptoms? How many of the SIG ECAP symptoms do I have? Do I have 5 of them? Has it been more than 2 weeks? Is it enough to be considered a major depressive disorder? Those are all things that is going to be easier to remember by using Anki flashcards to retain that information through spaced repetition. And you definitely want to remember that when step 2 CK comes around as well. So if you have any questions on how to use that, let me know in the comments below, and please check out my other videos on Anki, how to study for shelf exams, and step 2. I promise they will be helpful. So for the shelf exam, the biggest thing I would recommend is really knowing how to diagnose those things and the differences between things like schizophreniform disorder versus schizoaffective disorder versus schizophrenia versus a brief psychotic disorder. The difference between an acute stress disorder and post-traumatic stress disorder. bipolar 1 versus bipolar 2. All those little things, you need to know the differences in how they're diagnosed and how to reach the criteria in the DSM-5. If you know that, you'll be set for the shelf exam. And the psych shelf exam tends to be one of the easier exams out of all of them. And so the averages and the bell curves are all skewed higher. So make sure you still study hard and do your best to make sure you can secure that portion of your grade. Now my last two tips are going to be into the psychiatry clerkship portion. And like with all my videos, I totally understand that a lot of this is going to be biased. It's different at different hospitals, different institutions, but this is all speaking through my own experience, just like the rest of my channel. So I hope it can be helpful to all of you. So my second tip comes in the clerkship rotation. I think the number one thing you can do when you're in the psychiatric ward is just to be as helpful as possible in reaching out to family members and doing tasks that are sometimes considered like busy work. So a lot of times in the psychiatric inpatient unit where I was for 6 weeks, a lot of patients come in with acute psychosis or certain mood disorders where, their information they're saying might not be the most reliable. And so you always need collateral from a family member or someone on the outside that they let you contact. So if they let you contact their family, it's really helpful for medical students to be able to call the family and get a very extensive history from the mom or the dad or whoever you're contacting on what's going on with the patient, a clear timeline. Because like I mentioned before, those DSM criteria have very specific guidelines and timelines how to diagnose them, right? So if the patient said this has only been happening for 3 days, but you call the mom and she says it's been happening for over 6 months, it's a lot easier to make a diagnosis based on accurate information and collateral from family. In addition to calling family, which can be really helpful to the residents and the team. The other thing you can do is just write notes. That's something you've been doing for all your rotations. But the psychiatric note is a little bit different because the subjective section tends to be very long because you still want to document everything that the patient says, even though sometimes it may be illogical, tangential, very circular in what they're presenting and not make a lot of sense to you. You still want to write all that down and document it, and sometimes it can be very tedious for residents to type out all of these things. So it's kind of nice to have a medical student, kind of like a scribe, just type all those things out and keep it clear and concise. One piece of advice that I have for all of you is just to do it in a very clear and concise way. The way that we did it at our hospital I thought was really easy. It was just per staff, what happened overnight, was there any acute events, how did the patient sleep, did they eat, did they attend groups, that type of thing. So you can get all of that from the notes, the nursing notes that they write in the psychiatric unit. They tend to be a lot more detailed than the ones on the medical floors. The second thing is, did they take their medications? Are they compliant on their Abilify, Risperdal, Depakote, etc.? And then finally, did they get any PRNs? So in psych, there's a lot of behavioral PRNs that might be given to a patient. So if they're agitated or non-redirectable, they may get 5 milligrams of Haldol or 2 milligrams of Ativan or together, depends on what was ordered. But note which behavioral PRNs they got and report that during table rounds. And then you can talk about assessment and plan for the day. Are you going to keep the same lithium level, or are you going to check a level for lithium, or are you going to increase the dosage, things like that. So make sure you know what's going on with all your patients and be aware of if they got extra medications and if they are actually taking their medications. Because in psychiatry, a lot of patients, if they are in a psychotic state and they don't know the benefit of medications, they may just refuse it. So you should let the team know if they took their medications or not. My final piece of advice is just to be really proficient at the mental status exam. When you're interviewing patients, especially in front of your attendings and residents, that's a really good way for you to stand out and to look really good on this rotation. So, be very open-ended, ask a lot of open-ended questions, but don't be afraid to take those next steps and sort of not pry, but just ask follow-up questions to the patients to kind of see, are they hiding something? Try to see if their thoughts are clear and how they're feeling personally. You can get a lot of information from the patient. Ultimately they're the number one part of the treatment team. You want to do your very best along with everyone else to treat the patient. So when I say become very proficient at the mental status exam, it's like a lot of it can be done by looking at the patient, right? And you're documenting it after the fact, but in your head you should be thinking about their appearance, their behavior, their speech, their thought content, their perceptions, right? Their judgment and insight. All those things should help you ask the right questions so you can get a good history of what's going on and kind of show your team that you know what you're doing. Finally, don't forget your screening questions. You always want to screen for things like depression and mania, suicidal ideation, homicidal ideation, thinking about all the main things that are keeping a patient in the hospital. So usually the patients are kept in the inpatient psych unit if they have harm to themselves, harm to others, or they're just too unstable to be out there on their own, right? So kind of screen for those things, see how the patient's doing. Are they still having any suicidal thoughts of harming others? Are they still acutely psychotic, hearing voices, seeing things that are not there? Kind of screen for those things, keep your questions open-ended, and always have a good game plan for all of your patients. So if you don't know something, look it up on UpToDate, kind of know how to up-titrate psychotropic medications. I feel like that's the biggest thing. Most patients will be on some type of medical therapy, sort of know the dosages the best you can, when to switch to a long-acting injectable, when to increase a dosage, or when, kind of know the limits of the doses even. Maybe you're at too high of a dose of Risperidone, you're already at 16 milligrams a day. There's diminishing returns after that. You should be aware of that and kind of know that you're now increasing them to a lot of risks of antipsychotics, and you shouldn't increase the dose. Maybe try a different medication or trial something else. Overall, I think those are my main tips for this psychiatry rotation. I think you all are going to do wonderful. I enjoyed my time in psychiatry a lot. It was a really great opportunity to interact with psychiatric patients, see a lot more of the mental health side of medicine, and I truly enjoyed my rotation. I'm looking forward to my next rotation too on family medicine, so don't forget to stay tuned. If any questions whatsoever, just comment below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if all this has been helpful to you. Good luck on all your rotations and have a great rest of your week.